I think I like the fact that he's become muddy as a character. I think that's interesting.
Sort of in the dirt.
Yeah. Yeah, in the dirt. I like that. I like he's morally muddy. I think that's interesting to play and to watch.
You think it was only you who put yourself in my power? Galadriel.
My first question is to you. In India, we have an actor called Nawazuddin Siddiqui. Have you heard about him?
No.
He plays a lot of villainous characters, basically gangsters, serial killers, murderers.
So he gets all the good parts.
Yes, and he's one of the most brilliant actors we have. And he has often talked about his approach to these characters, and he says that I never judge them as good or evil, basically not as evil. They are humans and I have to approach them. If I judge them, then it will affect my performance and how I view them. Now that Sauron has turned completely evil, from what I have seen, and he's having a lot of fun with it, what is your approach to playing him?
I think very similar. I think you have to understand the role of the character in the story, right? And I know that Sauron is the villain of this story, but it's not helpful for me to approach it that way. I think I approach it from the perspective of like, what's the core of the character? What does he want? And what's in his way of achieving what he wants? And it's often the obstacles in the way of the character that kind of dictates their behavior. So it's like you have to act irrationally sometimes to achieve what you want. Some people will, and it's always tricky thinking about Sauron as a human because he's not human. But I think we see him through the perspective of humanity. So there is kind of this element. But I think I don't find it useful thinking about him as good or bad. I just think it's all about trying to achieve what I want to achieve.
And I was watching some of your interviews from before the season 1 also premiered, and you talked about writing a play on J.R.R. Tolkien. What was that play about? What did you write?
It was, okay, so there was a movie when I was a kid, which is a 1978 animated version of The Lord of the Rings, the Bakshi one. Yeah, exactly. And which I was very, very obsessed with. And I bought a little book that was like a comic book of the film. And it had stills from the movie and little speech bubbles, and the dialogue from the movie was in the speech bubbles. So it's like a comic book. I just copied all that down onto a typewriter and wrote the play. So I nicked. Was
it ever performed?
No.
Who is the main character? Is it just the movie?
It's the movie.
On stage?
It's Lord of the Rings, the story.
Okay.
And the main character, well, I was going to play Sam, and he became the main character, of course. His part was slightly enlarged.
And fans would know that Celebrimbor does not really have a good time going forward. If you could rewrite his fate, what would you want Celebrimbor to be like?
If I could rewrite his fate, what a good question. Without, of course, specifying what his fate is.
No, we'd never.
We made it
never do that. I think I would probably keep him on this path, but with some resolution. I think I like the fact that he's become muddy as a character. I think that's interesting.
Sort of in the dirt.
Yeah. Yeah, in the dirt. I like that. I like he's morally muddy. I think that's interesting to play and to watch. But I would like him to resolve in perhaps reach a different outcome.
Yeah.
We wish to see that play someday also.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thought. Yeah. Or it's, again, the spin-off series that we've been discussing.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of potential spin-offs that have emerged as a consequence of this junket.
Oh,
yeah.
We're glad to have helped.
It could be set in Singapore.
It could be. Could easily be.
Yeah.
When the trailer launched, a lot of people had a bunch of reactions, but I think the biggest takeaway was that how great you looked as Annatar. And I read a comment, it was really funny, that my mom is asking me, why did they replace the actor?
That's good. A few people have said that to me, and I actually love that. I think that's really cool.
But you know what? It feels like that acting with Charlie. He feels totally
Another person
different.
as Annatar.
Yes, he really does. Yeah.
I think that's the thing that I've always, thank you. I think that's the thing I've always liked about acting is like not being myself at all. And I think that's quite fun.
But
yeah.
were you ever nervous that it could maybe have the Clark Kent effect that you just put on a blonde wig and you are another person, but it is not that way. He
No,
is
exactly. And I think that the way that the showrunners have, because like, yeah, I do feel and look quite different, but my face is kind of the same face. But I think the fact that the way the showrunners have written it is that Celebrimbor doesn't know anything about what I did. Because Galadriel has this huge shame, and she's the only one that knows about Sauron, and she couldn't bring herself to tell him. So yeah.
People were confused that how will they manage to bring a new form of him, and then the elves not realizing that it's him. But I think it's very well managed in the initial few.
Once you see how it's done,
the logics of it.
Yeah.